our drummer did. And as soon as they melted his brain, they left and he came and told us the story. So it wasn't like I saw them and I was like, oh, all right, cool. They, yada. And then he told us that story and we were all just like, whoa, that's crazy. But yes, we do share a name with that band. And, occasionally certain things pop up. But I mean, all you got to do is just like literally go to our page for like 1 second and be like, okay, this is obviously not a cover band.
This is Rob Ruckus.
Hey, this is Kate Clover.
Hey guys, it's Nick Collins here from The Effect and Better Strangers.
Hi, my name's Madeline Rose.
Hey, it's Ben McKelvey.
It's Tim Howard here from Mike and the Mechanics.
Hello, I'm Amanda Lehman.
I'm Billy Harvey.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Casey Sampson from the band Twist Stop.
Hey, it's Tony from Fastball.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isaiah Mitchell.
Hey, guys, it's Matt here from the White Lakes.
You're listening to Almost Famous Magazine.
Come join us for this interview. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Hang right here on Almost Famous Magazine. I'm your host, Scott Saldinger, and we hang with musicians from around the world every single week. Different genres, styles, different experiences. We hang with them and tell their stories, and it's a lot of fun. So I thank you for showing up once again. If you're new to our channel, please, you know what to do. You do it on other channels. Subscribe, share, leave some comments. It all matters in helping us continue to grow and bring you great content. Plus, if you're one of those people who loves your podcast on the go, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more, so you can take us on the go with you. Today, we're diving into a band from near and dear to my heart because I'm from New York. They're the band Playing Dead. They're a 6-piece power pop rock band from West Babylon. I have passed that on the LIR so many, Long Island Railroad. Yeah. LIR? Is it still LIR? Was it LIR? Have I fucked this up already?
LIRR.
LIRR. All right. It's been a while since I've been on the train. I live in Dallas. We take cars. But they're from my original stomping ground, New York, Long Island, West Babylon. According to their social media, I love their approach. It's super simple. They are not an overly complicated band. You ready for this? I'm going to quote them on this one. We play music and record albums. Oh, and we play shows. The end. Now, I'm confident there's more to that than just what they have on their Instagram. So we're going to find out because we're hanging with Sam, their lead singer, and we're going to pull back the curtain. Sam, dude, I know technically we've had some challenges, but I'm excited we're doing this. Welcome to The Hang.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, for sure. Let's talk.
All right. I'm gonna start you out where we typically begin these conversations because I'm fascinated with this. I love to learn people's musical origin story. Like, did you find music or did music find you? How did your relationship with music begin to get you where you are today?
As far back as I could always remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. And no, I'm just kidding. As soon as I started saying that, I thought of Goodfellas, but that's a different story.
Well,
shout out to Queens.
You live in Long Island. You're not living in Staten Island. You're not living in Staten Island.
We go there a lot though, so shout out to Staten Island. But I don't know. Music has just always been a thing. As far back as I could remember, it was just always a thing. I remember going to a flea market. Probably that Belmont one when I was like a kid. And around that time, maybe we had seen the movie La Bamba. And I just gravitated towards that soundtrack. But I didn't know anything about it because my parents listened to like garbage. They were like two kids from Queens listening to like.
Not the band Garbage?
No, I wish. Oh my God. No, they were listening to like, like dance, disco, like just things that just didn't resonate with me. But then I would like La Bamba, right? So like, I think that soundtrack was like a really big deal to me. And I would hear these like Richie Valens songs, but I didn't really know anything about it. And immediately like that music hit me. And then from there, I remember the movie Shakedown, which was from 1988 with Peter Weller and Sam Elliott, and in the trailer they had Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze. Now, you figure this is how malnutritioned I was with music. I didn't really know anything about it. Like, no one told me about Hendrix because, like I said, like the people around me just didn't really care about any of that stuff. And I remember recording the trailer from my TV, and it was like, a minute and a half or whatever, just because it had Purple Haze. And I was like, this is the greatest song ever. And then from there, everything just kind of like evolved. I bought a guitar, or maybe I was like 12, and somebody broke my wrist in middle school. He like pushed me. Shout out to Andy Rosari, man. He definitely knocked 2 years off of my guitar progress. And yeah, so that's really as far back as I could remember. But to me, it was just always guitar and melody. Those were the things that meant the world to me.
So you recovered from your wrist, your arm accident with Andy.
Yeah.
You're gonna be on this podcast at some point because I want to know that story because you really screwed up his career. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
So from there, like you started to learn guitar and you got into it, but was there a moment for you like, wait a minute, shit, this is music is like blood and oxygen to me. I must pursue this over everything else. Did you have a moment?
I just always knew, like, it's just not like, listen, I never pursued it like professionally, but like, just like some people play golf or, softball, it's just something that always was, I would see, I would go, when you go to family functions, people have nothing, like, everyone else is a normie. There's like 4 of us that are like very counterculture and like not like everything else. So the conversation is always music with me. Like when they bring it up to me, they're like, "Oh, you still playing music?" And I'm just like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I'm gonna be playing music for the rest of my life." So yeah, another big moment was 1988 as well. Watching Metallica the one video. And I was just like, this is the coolest. Like, I just wanted to play. And I didn't really know how to play, right? And I didn't really have the patience to, like, learn other people's songs. So it wasn't until, like, Nirvana. Like, once Nirvana hit, it sounds cliche to say, but, like, I was 12, 13 when Nirvana hit. And I saw people, like, playing these songs. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, okay, you're basically moving your hand to 4 different positions, and it's these barred chords. Before that, you're listening to like I'm listening to thrash metal, and I'm like, how do I play Megadeth? And it's like, well, holy shit, this is impossible. And then you hear "Smells Like Teen Spirit," and like everyone in the neighborhood, in Selden, New York, was like playing these songs, and it was just like, holy shit. I'm like, okay, I think this is what we do, and this is how you do it.
I wish I would have had a moment like that. I started out, kid on the trumpet, and by the time I learned guitar, I was into prog. And, starting out trying to do prog rock, I probably should have started with just 4 bar chords. I don't think starting out with like trying to figure out Yes and early Genesis, unless you plan to become some sort of wild virtuoso, was probably the right move. It was a lot more frustrating than fun.
But I tell you what, the people that went through that, because there's still people doing that. I had somebody recently on the podcast, like he's in a band called Secret Gardens, I think was the name of the band. And like you listen to the stuff they do, and I'm like, yo, you sound like you practiced for like 30 years straight, because like I don't even understand what it is that you're doing. So like once you take that prog side, like there's like way less of you than like a whole bunch of jerk offs playing Nirvana like me, and you're like, whoa, you're like this guy, this fuck, it's unbelievable. But yeah, and to me it was just like it was always about melody. Another big one for me was Smashing Pumpkins, because I loved Billy Corgan's guitar playing. And it was like, aside from the soloing, like a lot of the stuff was just like really cool, structured. And like, I love the heavy guitar and the melody. So that took over my life. Like, it was just, I listened to everything, but like that, the stuff that you hear on Siamese Dream, also just like they were able to play quiet, they were able to play mid-tempo, and they were able to play fast. And that was just like the appeal. Because to me, as like a songwriter, I'm thinking like, well, I want to do all of it. I don't want to be like one thing and be like, oh, okay, well, it doesn't sound like my band, so I can't play it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it's interesting, the evolution of music, because, you know, it used to, I mean, look, guitar was, from the very early days, you know, 4 chords, there's your song, you do it. Now we live in a day and age where there's so much technology at your fingertips. You can throw the kitchen sink at a song and make it so utterly complex that musicians can't even play it. Like I had a guy that I actually grew up with, Scott Mayo, who plays saxophone out in LA, and he does a lot of session work, and he plays in the band on American Idol and The Voice and stuff like that. And he's like, I'll go to these sessions, and they've orchestrated something that's just not physically possible for a human to play. And I think we've gotten to a point where we overcomplicate things. And, you know, what do you need for good rock and roll? 4 chords and a dream, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're occasionally, I do like 4 times a year, I do like a cover band called Cover Me Bad. So like we'll do like Halloweens and stuff like that, like or like New Year's, and we're learning a set for something called Enchantment Under the Sea, which is a Back to the Future reference. So they wanted us to learn a lot of like songs that would be on Back to the Future, and like, you know, they all have that same progression. It's just like, you know, it's like the A to the D to the E, but it's killer. Like, you know, you're like singing along to like these songs like Earth Angel and Johnny Be Good. And there is a theme and a feel to it, but it just doesn't make it any less fun. You know, that's the beauty, yeah. Like, and that's what Nirvana was to me, and like my generation was like, okay, well, this was cool, but like, you know, you want to play Smells Like Teen Spirit about a girl or all these other things, and it was so like inclusive for people. They were just like, all right, we'll just do this, you know. And it was like pretty, you know, it's so cliche to say Nirvana, because at the end of the day, they were around for a couple of years, and like the albums are great, but they're not like these like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. But something happened, like that lightning in a bottle with them, that was just like the catalyst to everything, you know. And they were just trying to rip off the greatest American rock band of all time, I think, is the Pixies. So.
Well, it's interesting because at the time I was managing a band, and we went, I think the moment we drove over the George Washington Bridge into Manhattan, every A&R guy flew to the West Coast, and nobody, that was like, there was a dead period in New York for a couple of years in the early 90s where nobody could get signed because everybody was going out to find the next Pearl Jam, Nirvana,
yeah,
you know, the next big grunge band. And New York was not a grunge city at the time. You know, you still had post-punk going on, and you had a lot of pop going on, but it was not a grunge kind of scene in New York. So the whole record business went away and you know, left and didn't come back for a few years.
For a little bit. And then like, you know, 94 hits, and then like the Cali thing happened, you know, with Offspring and Rancid and like those bands, you know, Green Day, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, eventually it makes it back to New York with like the Strokes and the Lonely Peaches and Interpol.
Well, it's interesting when you talk about like the Strokes. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, look, for what it's worth, I mean, glam rock, you know, born out of punk, and personified by David Johansen, is ubiquitous with New York. So for the idea for those types of bands to have that kind of breakout in a second cycle is incredible, you know?
Yeah. You know, I love New York, man. You know, I'm always going to be, you know, gotta be
a little partial.
Yeah. It's had its like, you know, pop and eras, even like the hip hop, you know, like around that time that the Strokes were coming up, you know, like the underground stuff was like fantastic too. You know, like Company Flow was coming up, which now LP does Run the Jewels. who are humongous. I don't know, just it was a fun time to see a lot of that stuff. But there was a documentary called Meet Me in the Bathroom, I think it was called, just recently, like maybe like 2 years ago, and it told the story of like yeah, right, like the Lower East Side-ish scene with, like I mentioned, the Strokes, Moldy Peaches, Interpol, and a few other bands, and it's fantastic. I don't know if you've seen it. It's
I know, yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
no, absolutely. I mean, the idea that these people met so randomly and what came out of it. I mean, it's part of the beauty of life, right? I mean,
yeah.
you have to be open to the world and the people around you in order to accept what's coming in communicatively, so that you can say, okay, this is my stuff. Let me get with these people and let's make something fantastic.
And it's great to like have documentarians, you know, at a certain point look back and kind of like, you know, loop together everything, you know. It's like you look back to like whatever we were talking about, which was hype. Hype was like the grunge thing, right? It's like, okay, remember that documentary? That was fantastic. And then, you know, like the one that I just mentioned now. So like all these scenes, like eventually time, you know, goes on. Now it's like 2025, which is wild. And like, you know, you look back and you're like, wow, do you remember 2015? That was crazy.
Yeah, no, look, the speed at which things are evolving these days, and the business itself is mind boggling. I'm curious, right? You picked up that guitar after a 2-year hiatus. You started to learn. You started to build your chops. Did that lead you to a number of bands? And how did we end up with the Playing Dead? Like, how did that all? You know, what was your evolution of getting to this? Where you're like, hey, I've got the right people. I got the right mix of people, and we're going to talk about them. We got the right vibe, and we're going to create the stuff that we feel is what is our best, that we want to put together. So we have our little gang, and we have our sound, and we're going to make our way. How did all that come together?
Wow. So funny, you know, like the band thing was, I wanted to be in a band, but it wasn't anything that I pursued. You know, where we grew up, we didn't really have too many bands. It was like the hip hop scene was alive. So like there was a time where I was like, maybe I want to be a DJ. Maybe I want to be a DJ, because when we would have house parties, that's what we had. We had like DJs spinning turntables. So I wish the band stuff hit sooner, but it didn't. And then from there, you know, I got into like trouble. And, you know, sometimes you go away and you do certain things.
Yeah, well, that's not a gangster story, is it? That's not that.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know,
story,
you know, like I definitely had like lots of like, you know, law problems and stuff like that. So it wasn't until like my mid-20s where I got clean, and I was just like, one day I was like, oh, like maybe I'll start a band. And I was like in my mid-20s, and I didn't really even know how to start a band. You know, I had my high school years in my mid-20s when it came to music, and my ear was at the right age, but my abilities and knowing how to do it, just they weren't there. So it took a while, you know, to get that band going. But Playing Dead was like my only band. It was my first band, and that's it. Now, technically, we've had different members, and you could say different sounds, where we could have changed the name. But in my head, I'm like, if you have zero fan base, it's like, who gives a shit? Keep the same name. Like, there's no, you know, there's no continuity, you know, like when I watch Halloween H2O, I don't think to myself like, well, this doesn't go with Halloween 6. I just think like, oh, okay, this is just a different part of the tree.
What we have to do today, because I mean, I always do my research, and if you Google Playing Dead, you get a lot of Grateful Dead cover band stuff that comes up at the top of the search. So hopefully this conversation will help get you guys up in the search. Definitely. Oh, I can see by the look in your face. That's a bit of an issue. I seem to have hit a hot button here.
You know, I never think of the Grateful Dead. I never do, but we do share a name with a cover band that's been around forever, and you know, bless their little hearts playing their covers. I guess that's awesome. But yeah, like we it is a funny thing. Yo, one day we played out in Brooklyn, right? This is the craziest story. It's crazy because I can't even wrap my head around these fucking guys. We're playing a show, and all of a sudden I see my drummer, like it's in like Greenpoint at a place called the Kingsland. And I see my drummer talking to two dudes, yada yada, and then they leave. And I was like, he comes up to me and everyone. He's like, yo, he's like, those guys just came from Jersey. They fucking parked their car over by the bridge and they rode their bikes here because they were asking me about the Playing Dead show. And he he was like, oh yeah, he's like, are these other bands like cover bands too? He's like, well, I'm in Playing Dead and we're not a cover band. He's like, oh, so they basically, how do you do that? How do you go from Jersey, you park your car by the bridge and then you pedal out to fucking Brooklyn and you're like not even looking at the rest of the flyer. You're thinking like, well, Playing Dead, this has to be a cover band. And instead of staying there, just like, fuck this show. And they fucking left. And we couldn't believe it. We're like, you drove all this way. At least check out one band. I have no idea. Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah. That is, I just can't even, I can't imagine looking at a flyer to a show that's in another state and thinking to myself like, oh, this is probably this band. And then getting there and being like, I'm not watching this. Let's go.
Well, I mean, technically, if you're a Springsteen fan, he did a Nassau Coliseum show, and he announced he told a story about how New Jersey and Long Island used to be one contiguous piece of land, so they're all brothers and sisters. So maybe these guys were just confused, or I don't know, maybe they had too many whippets. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, they looked fine, sober, and like healthy. No drug addict I know is gonna fucking ride their bike for fucking, that was like park our car. They probably had like a picnic table and some shit. Yeah, it was wild. We couldn't believe it. I'm like, how did you do this? It would have been an hour podcast if I would have had them on. I would have been like, what were you thinking?
You didn't even get their names and numbers to invite them. Come on, that's a podcast host fail.
Oh,
that's a podcast host fail.
So I didn't get a chance to talk to them. Our drummer did, and as soon as they melted his brain, they left, and he came and told us the story. So it wasn't like I saw them, and I was like, oh, all right, cool, they, yada. And then he told us that story, and we were all just like, whoa, that's crazy.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
But yes, we do share a name with that band, and occasionally certain things pop up. But I mean, all you got to do is just like literally go to our page for like 1 second and be like, okay, this is obviously not a cover band.
Obviously not. Let's talk. Well, I want to hit on two things. Number one, tell me about the members of the band. Let's start there. Tell me about the people who are in your little posse there. Who's in the band?
Yeah.
Why are they in the band? Like, what do they bring in?
Okay, so the guy that's been with me the longest, like one of my best friends, his name's Dave. He plays bass. We just grew up together. Me and his brother were best friends. And then, like, once we started playing music, Dave is just kind of like, whatever I do, he's always the one that's like, I'm going to do it too. So I never have to worry about anything. Like, I've never, we've just been playing music for like so long that it's just, he's just, I don't know. Like, he's amazing. I would never tell him. We don't compliment each other because that's just not what we do, but he'll never listen to this, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, he's a really good bass player, and it took years of like just getting better and better. And like, he's unbelievable. I think, if not the best bass player on Long Island, he's definitely in the top 3. That's for sure. I'm biased.
Before we move on, hang on. I got a question about him. So stylistically, though, because we all come with different experiences, and maybe his parents, didn't listen to garbage music. What kind of style or influence did he bring that gelled well enough with you to say, okay, we can make this work together because we have this musicality together? He grew up with 2 brothers and 2 sisters, so there was 5 of them in the house, and they were all into music. The parents were into music. Like, his dad
is a Beatles fanatic. So there was always music there for sure. Like they all loved it. And, me and him just, we love things like Hot Water Music. I feel like he plays like Jason Black from Hot Water Music. Like he does have that vibe, but he's also a big, big Rush fan. We're big Maiden fans too. So you have like that Steve Harris, Geddy Lee mixed in with that Jason Black, just killer. So like I never have to think about anything. Whatever I do is just like I know it's just gonna fit, and that's it.
All right. Who else is in the band?
So our drummer Mike Ciaravina, he has been playing in bands forever, longer than I have, and he was in a band called CMR from maybe 25 years ago. I'm trying to remember how old that band is. And when I heard them, I was like, this is the greatest band to come out of Long Island. Like they were just so good. And they were a 3-piece, and it was Charlie, Ryan. Oh, I mean, that's what CMR is. Charlie, Mike, and Ryan. And Mike is unbelievable because he could play as amazing as he wants to, or he could just do like a solid, like pocket meat potatoes. Like he'll do some flashy shit if that's what you want, or that's what it calls for, or he could just keep it steady. And super lucky to have him. He's been in for maybe 4 years now, and solid.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got what, 6 people in the band? Is it 5 or 6?
6 people. Yeah.
So who else? Who are we missing right now?
All right. So then we have Jason, who plays the synth and the keyboards. We used to play with his old band, Go Big. He's in a band called Go Big. It was him and his wife. One day we were playing the show that maybe it wasn't that show. It was a different show. Same place, same venue. And they covered one of our songs. And when I heard it, I was like, oh, okay. We were only a 4-piece at that time. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if you played on this stuff? And from there, since 2019, he's just been with us and throwing stuff on, the songs, keyboards and synthesizers. Cause, I'm a big Get Up Kids fan. So that was an appeal to me where I was like, oh, Get Up Kids rentals, synthesizers. That sounds cool. So that's 4 of us. Right. And then the 2 newest members, one is Desiree, who sings backup vocals, and she sings lead on our new song, Invisible Girl. One day we were looking to get a backing vocalist, and my friend Josh hit me up right away. He was like, my wife. I was like, okay. And then she's like, she thinks you guys you're her favorite local band. Now, when you get someone in your band, you want them to like your music. Some people join because they're like, oh, I'm not in a band right now. I kind of like this stuff. Oh, I like this song, but not these other 18 songs. When someone likes your band, you're like, okay, you want to sing and stuff like that. So Desiree Freeman, awesome, fantastic, great to have her. And then the very last person is Frank. We had a guitar player named Rich who was with us till 21, 22. I don't even remember. Maybe it was even later. He abruptly left. We had a falling out, and we were just about to play this sold out show in Amityville, and I was like, I have 10 days to teach somebody these 8 songs. And Frank, I loved Frank because Frank is in a band called Morning Fuzz. And they they sound like a cross between the Foo Fighters and Phantom Planet. Frank is a student of songwriting, and I always considered him to be the best songwriter on Long Island. So I was like, oh wow, I'm like, maybe he'll cover in for us. And once he agreed to, I was like, he was to me the Richie Sambora to my John Bon Jovi that I never had. I'd never had this person who sang harmonies perfect, who played the right thing on the guitar. And, these days I feel I feel amazing about the 6 of us. That's it. Frank rules.
You know what? You got some New Jersey there. If it's like Bon Jovi, you got a little New Jersey action going there, just on a
It's just
metaphysical level.
for sure the chemistry, right? Like the chemistry of like there was a lot of you know yeah, it just was like not to even like bring up older members, it just wasn't like what it was. They were either really good at playing guitar and not at singing, or vice versa. And Frank was just somebody that I admired his songwriting. I thought he was just amazing. I think his band Morning Fuzz is unbelievable. And when we needed someone, I was like, all right, we got this guy, for a little bit. And then as time went on, he was like, all right, I'll stay. And now we just make fucking cool music that I love to play.
So let's talk about the cool music. You've got an amalgamation of people in this band. Where's the creativity coming from? Is the writing a group thing? Does each individual bring a song? And then how do you guys kind of pull it all together so that everybody gets a little happiness out of it?
So I write the black and white, right? Like I write a lot of songs, so I'm always just bringing songs to the band, and they fill out the color. I have the black and white drawing and kind of like how it goes, and then we go there, and everyone else colors it in. On occasion, somebody will be like, oh, maybe we'll try this, so it's definitely a group effort, but like the songs are written by me, and obviously they're nowhere near as good without them. So when I bring them the skeleton, they put it all together.
Okay. So in July, you had, if you look at your Bandcamp, you got this 3 songs in July that came out, I think it was.
It was just a song in July, 1 and 2 in August, and then we'll do the 4th one in a little bit. I'm just waiting for the final mix of it.
So Too Far From Me. Now, the thing that stood out for me is Invisible Girl, because obviously that was, you have a great voice, but you sound a little masculine, buddy. So I put it on and I'm like, wait a minute, do I have the right band here? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like how did you make a choice to do a female lead on a song with a really big back catalog of kind of male dominated lead, right? So how did that all come about? It's a great song. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So it really started with, we just like doing stuff, man. And one day I heard Des sing in her cover band. She was doing, I forget what cover. And I was like, you know what? I feel like we're not using her as much as I'd like, So I was like, wouldn't it be fun to write her a song, and in the set, she has like her spotlight for, like throw it in the middle of the set or like towards the end of the set. And that's really what it was. I hit her up and I was like, listen, I want to write you a song. I have some melody ideas, but I want you to write the lyrics. So I said, write me some lyrics and then I'll just make a song out of it. And that's kind of what I did. She just like wrote these lyrics, and I was like, let me, put together some things that are slightly out of my register. And it just came together, and it was a lot of fun. And I thought it came out pretty cool. So we thought it would be a lot of fun to take the 4 songs and make that the first single, because it's just different. And it's not like, it's like, oh, okay, like you're not singing on this. So.
Cool. No, I mean, I think that's really cool that you got a chance to do something outside of the realm of what you normally would do, because I think it gives you some creative stretch, right?
Yeah, I just, it was just really just trying something different, because like I said, we release a lot of music and we write a bunch of stuff, and it was just like, hey, let's just do this little curveball, and it kind of snowballed, and we were all happy with the song, so that really helps.
Well, so what is the remainder of 2025 looking into 2026 have? Because you guys do put out a fair amount of music. Is there an album on the way? Are you going to do album cut, an album full of stuff? Or are you just going to be, drop them when you write them? What's your strategy?
Yeah. So, the last album we released was 10 songs in 2018, and the way streaming is, and we're not a touring band, it's just, it doesn't make any sense at all. like for me to basically cut through the noise and be like, hey, could I borrow you for 40 minutes when Metallica put out an album like last year that people don't even give a shit about? It's like, all right. So as time went on, I just thought to myself, like, let's record a handful of songs and then you just put them out as like piece by piece. And it's like every couple of months, you're like, oh, can I borrow your ear for 3 minutes? And, that's it. You make everything as good as possible. And it's just like, here's my best at the moment right now. And then you throw it in there and you hope it connects. And from there, you just do the same thing. Invisible Girl came out sometime in July. Then the next single was like a month later, and then the new song drops this, whatever podcast time we're on, sometime like August 28th, and then the fourth song will be sometime in September. So it's just like, you could make an album, but it's like for a band that doesn't tour, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever for us to do it. So we just make the songs and put them out as we want.
I'm curious your opinion on the different types of strategy now that you have to have as a band, compared to like earlier when we were talking about, Smashing Pumpkins. You'd get the album, you'd play it front to back, you would ingest the whole thing, and you're like, oh my God, this is an experience. How do you feel as a musician, kind of having to create for the moment in a different world that we don't really dedicate ourselves to long listening and going front to back, listening to an entire album, living in a shuffling world? How do you feel about that?
If I was successful in any way making music, maybe I would have more of an opinion on it. To me, it's like if you listen to one song, like we have 2 songs playing on Sirius XM Faction. And I'm thinking, like, that's cool. Like, what's cooler than that? You're listening to one of our, like, there's so much music out now that if you give me 3 minutes of your time, that's cool. Like when Siamese Dream came out, like I was like, like 14 and I had no care in the world and we didn't have 101 distractions. I wasn't thinking of the politics in Ghana or, like just some like whatever world, shit happens. It was just kind of like, hey, here are your headphones, here's your Walkman, and you have all the time in the world to listen to this one album. But that's just not what it is right now. So like, I don't know. I just make music, and if people listen to it, cool. So I guess I don't really have an opinion on it.
Okay. It's an interesting time too, because I love talking about songs. We don't play them on here because I don't want to deal with copyright strikes.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean,
same.
this whole fair use thing. I don't know if you've been following it or not, but it's nuts that these labels would want to prohibit someone from helping other people sample a band's music so that they go out and buy it. Because I mean, we are huge proponents. Go out and support your artists. You're going to hear it from me later on when we talk about some stuff. Buy music, don't rent it. Buy it, support artists. I mean, you're not touring now, but you never know, and people need to go to shows and buy tickets and all that stuff. But this whole idea around fair use and the dwindling ability of people to have conversations, to share the experience of music, I mean, it's kind of troubling.
Some podcasts still do it. They'll play like my friend's podcast, Call Out Culture, which is like primarily a hip hop podcast. But their stuff gets knocked off of like, is it Spotify? Something like takes it down. And, the podcast that I do, we've had occasions like when we get those emails, I don't know. I get like, I guess they're just like chasing the nickel, in this atmosphere at the moment. But like, yeah, it's like just, I don't know. I don't understand it, but I guess it's just one of those like, all right, we're not making money here, so we need to like, be litigious about everything else. Yeah, I don't know. if we were able to use, it's like for example, like the Red River podcast that I do, if we were able to like basically bring up certain albums and be like, hey, I'm gonna play like 10 seconds of this song or whatever, it's really cool, whatever, we would, but it's just so fucking annoying to fucking do, because sometimes you get, that strike and it gets knocked off of whatever, and it's just like, oh great. It's like, well, you could edit it out, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. Fucking just take it down. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because I think you hit on the point that I was making to someone recently is, they want to get those digital nickels, but they could care less about a paper dollar, right? Like, it's just weird. Like it seems so short-sighted, because in a day and age where there's so much content, unfortunately, it's not music anymore, it's content, right? There's so much of it out there. If you have an opportunity for someone like Rick Beato or Professor of Rock to be talking about an album, talking about songs, giving some background, why would you want to diminish their ability to do that? Because they're saying, in a crowded space of all this stuff, go listen to this and enjoy this and support that artist. It's nuts.
Especially the most powerful thing that I could think of is word of mouth, right? If I hear something that I love, like, I'll text it to like my friends of like, oh, and that's the one thing about digital music, it's like I can just be like, oh, like I said, somebody, the Wednesday songs, this band Wednesday, it's awesome. Their new album's about to come out and they have 4 singles out, so I'm able to just like text and be like, yo, check this out, and he loved it, right? And that's power right there. It's just like you're able to like we're all like, curating stuff. It's like, okay, well, I went through 8 albums and these 2 are really good, and if someone connects with me on musically on the opinions, they'll be like, okay, well, if you like it, then maybe I'll like it. And that's the strongest thing right now. Like, you could put ads and you could do whatever. Like, yo, I was watching TV and like, I don't know what commercials you have over there, but like, Machine Gun Kelly has had this commercial on where I thought it was a jeans commercial. I don't know if you've seen it, but he's like dancing around. I swear to God, I thought it was a jeans commercial every time I saw it on TV. And then one day I actually watched it, paid attention, and when it was done, it was for his album. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, that you're I don't remember the last time I saw an album promoted on TV. And I thought it was fucking jeans commercial. But yeah, I guess, everyone's trying to figure out something. And word of mouth, nothing beats that. I think it's just, that's what it is. Your friends, even back then, it was like, yo, this album rules. And then from there, you just like, you co-sign that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's so mind-boggling that a small group of powerful people will make a determination to really kind of ruin it for a lot of people, especially the bands that they sign, right? Because those bands aren't getting that digital nickel, right? Like, you're barely able to get a penny out of Spotify. So it's a weird time. Hey, you've mentioned it a couple times, so I want to make sure we hit on this. Tell me about the Red River podcast. How did that start? What's it about, and why should people tune in?
Music, movies, pop culture. Why does, we started it because, like every jerk offs, we think, whatever we say is interesting. It's just like, all right, let's just record us talking things that we normally talk about, like when we hang out. And I feel like it's been like 8 years. It's been a long time, man. And we went through like the face-to-face, in-person, to like the pandemic hitting, and then we're all like at home doing Zoom. And, like if you're into, you just read the topics. We'll talk about like, the Blue Album versus Pinkerton, or we'll talk about The Mutilator, which is a slasher movie from like the 80s, or we'll talk about like Tarantino, or so like, like it's just like this like pop culture buffet. And then occasionally, we would have people on. So like one of my favorite movies of all time was Miracle Mile directed by Steve Jarnatt, who also did Cherry 2000 and Strange Brew. I hit him up one day. I'm like, hey, you want to talk? He's like, yeah, absolutely. We had on everyone from like Rudy Sarzo, which we love, from like Quiet Riot and Ozzy. So occasionally we'll have like guests on, and occasionally we'll just talk, like if you read the episode, they're eclectic because me and my friend Brian, we like everything, we talk about everything. So it's like, we'll talk about this, that, and that. And yeah, I don't know if any of that sounds appealing when you read the description, listen to it.
Well, I mean, look, if you're not using the tagline, a pop culture smorgasbord, I think you need to add that because I love that. That is a great encapsulated conceptual descriptor of what you're doing. So I think maybe you should do, Red River Podcast in quotes, a pop culture smorgasbord. So everybody who's hanging with us, definitely check out the pop culture smorgasbord. I love look, we just invented it here. We just created it, but you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
Speaking of being creative, one of the things I like to learn from other musicians and artists and stuff is if you had the chance to get in the studio for a day with one other artist, right? One other person, and it could be, you guys sit and have a cup of tea and talk music, or you get creative together, you write lyrics together, you make songs, make an album, whatever, finger paint, doesn't matter. But you had an opportunity to do that. Which artist would that be and why them?
Jack Antonoff from the band Bleachers. He's also a producer, Jersey guy, came from a band. We have a lot of mutuals, and his songwriting is unbelievable. His production is unbelievable. He's, done production for Lorde and Taylor Swift and a few other people. But yeah, Jack Antonoff is a musical fucking genius. We played a festival 2 years ago named Adjacent. It was like the Adjacent Festival in Atlantic City. And we were like one of the earlier day bands, and they were the headliner. So to me, I was just like, wow, I'm like, the one time we'll ever get to play with Bleachers. And it was fantastic. So yeah, he's just a musical genius. And I one day would love to, get in and do a song together.
Well, it's out there now, so you never know what could happen. Crazy shit happens when you put good stuff out in the world. So hopefully, if anybody knows Jack, who's watching with us, you know what to do. You need to make the connection. I mentioned it earlier, and this is really super important to me, that we support our artists. Art is not free. I don't care if you're looking at that poster on your wall, you had to buy that Bowie poster, unless, of course, that goes back to an earlier story, and perhaps you lifted it, and that landed you in some trouble. I don't know. But we've got to support our artists, and there are going to be links down below. There's a Bandcamp. The music of Playing Dead is available. If you're in the greater, tri-state area and you see that Playing Dead is out playing, you should go see them, buy tickets. Perhaps you guys have some merch. But support bands and artists because they're not going to go anywhere on those digital nickels. But that being said, one thing that I always like to, kind of wrap our heads around, and it's a good experience to learn what matters to people is like, if you're just out hanging out, you're not making your own music, but you're like, hey, I'm in the car, I'm on the train, I'm out for a walk, whatever. And you've got your headset on and you're listening to some music, and we were to get together later in the day and you're like, dude, I got these 3 artists that I'm really digging. Here's who they are and why I love them and why you should listen to them. Who would you tell me?
Doesn't matter genre, right?
No, it doesn't matter. It's what you enjoy, because look, let's be honest. A lot of metalheads listen to a lot of classical music, right? For all I know, you're a big Miles Davis fan, and you're like, you're grooving out to jazz. I don't know.
I'm not. I listen to primarily hip hop, but I will spare your audience my hip hop picks. But I will say, there's a band called Ways Away from Los Angeles. It's a guitar player from Sam I Am. Sam I Am is like one of our biggest musical influences. But Ways Away is Sergey's band, and they've put out like 3 albums, and they're unbelievable. Just like, and they're totally like a DIY band out there grinding for sure. And so whenever they're in town, you should definitely check them out because they just write really, really, really good songs, and they blow me away. The second, I'll say Sincere Engineer, another band. So they're from Chicago. They have a song called Landline, which is the catchiest song I've heard in a very long time. And the singer is fantastic. I think everything's just like based around her. And she just writes really, really good songs. And then the third, I will say hip hop, right? So I will go with OT the Real, who's a rapper from Philly, and he releases a lot of music, and his music is just amazing. If you don't want to pistol whip after listening to any of those albums, you have no heart.
Oh, dude, and I'm surprised you don't listen to the greatest real estate band out there. You know who the greatest real estate band is? Foreclosure. It's Foreclosure. They're all Foreclosure is a real estate band. It's 4 guys who do real estate. Didn't you know that?
Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry, my
no, I'm messing with you. No, I screw around with Giz Laszlo all the time. Foreclosure is a really good band, but Giz has been in like so many bands that have real estate references in their name. I mean, Foreclosure, Slumlords.
I heard the episode, and I wasn't sure because I didn't know if you were like busting his balls because you're like, you mentioned that. And I was like, is that for real? I couldn't tell. So yeah. Love Foreclosure.
You know what? I do it so that other people can give him shit over it because at some point I'm like, dude, you got to be a real estate agent. I mean, you've been to so many for sale, foreclosure. I mean, when are we going to have for rent? And maybe they could, name their band another band that he's got so many projects. Maybe it can be the Redfin band or like Remax.
He does have a lot of projects.
He's got a lot of projects, and I think there's a lot of real estate on. So I'm just busted on because I know that you guys.
He sent me, Well, I was gonna say he sent me a bunch of projects, and I was like, damn. I'm like, how many fucking fans this guy in?
He is all over the place. I love him like a brother. He's a great guy, and he brought us together. So Sam, this has been a great opportunity to get to know you. Get to know Playing Dead, which hopefully this episode kind of immortalizes the story and helps you guys in that internet search and you guys rise above the Grateful Dead. That would be amazing. I'm looking forward to maybe next year sometime you get the whole band together and we get everybody on and we'll just bust each other's chops. It's a lot of fun.
Sounds good. Yeah.
So I appreciate it. Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us today. It really means a lot. Please, like I said to begin with, your support means everything. So, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, get notifications, leave Sam some comments, good, bad, or otherwise. I mean, just say something, help us out here. We appreciate it. And we'll see you soon on another hang, everybody. So Sam, great getting to know you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. Take it easy, everybody.